Shanghai GDG is a very interesting developer community.
I'm glad somebody has asked this question.
This is where the magic happens.
This is primarily a question and answer show. So if any of you out there would like to ask questions.
Hi, I'm Joanna.
And I'm Gus.
And we're here to give you guys a demo on how to use the Google sign-in button in order to retrieve profile data.
Yep. So I'm a developer advocate on the Google Plus team.
And I'm a developer programs engineer.
And yeah, this demo should just take a few minutes, and we're going to just kind of show you how to retrieve profile data that's stored within Google Plus.
And if you have any questions while you're watching, go ahead and comment on the YouTube live stream or the Google Plus event, and I'll be monitoring that as we go along.
Okay, without further ado, so here, if we turn to my laptop, you can see some HTML that I've crafted here, and there's also the on the right side of the screen is the actual website. So if you look at the HTML on the left, it's just some real basic static content. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use client side. We're going to use a client side flow, which you can see at developers.google.com/plus/history. To actually retrieve the information just exclusively using JavaScript. So the first thing that we have to do is we need to include the client library for the +1 button.
And like we said, you can go ahead and find this on our website. And all of the instructions and the URLs that you're going to need are in the getting started instructions for the client side demo. So don't worry about trying to grab them off of the screenshot.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry, having a little trouble typing here. But yep, so here's the script for including the +1 button. And next we're going to actually insert some code down here inside of this div for the +1 button.
Now when you say +1 button, do you actually mean the share button? Or the sign-in button?
Yeah, sorry, the sign-in button. Okay. Yeah.
And what we're doing right now is when we are marking out where the sign-in button is going to go, you'll notice that the client ID and the callback are pretty much empty, and we're going to be filling those in as we go through the demo later on.
Yep. So yeah. So actually, the callback I've already specified here, but it's a good time to actually add it. So.
All right. Cool. So let's create that function.
So this is just going to be text JavaScript. And this, and then this function will be called when this function will be called after the user is authenticated with the sign-in button.
And the callback is pretty great because it's a really good way for you as a developer to grab data to see what your users are doing, and it kind of confirms that like the action has gone through and everything. Yep.
So yeah, so at this point we've got the script included for the +1 button, and actually it's the same that's used for the sign-in button. And then we've got some markup on the page for rendering the sign-in button. And now what we need to do is we need to create a client ID
so go to
for
your Google
API
APIs
access.
console, and this is where you can create a new ID if you've never done one before.
Yep. And so I'll just call this hello GDL.
Not quite the world yet.
Yeah, not the world yet. Just you guys. And I'll create this new project. And when the project gets created, the next thing that you need to do is you need to turn on the APIs that you want access to.
And
so
there are a lot of Google Plus APIs, but we're only going to use the main one. But if you ever want to delve into the History API, the Hangouts API, definitely feel free to turn them on and experiment. Yep.
So here I'll just turn on the Google Plus API, and then now it's turned on for this project. And I'll go over to API access, and then I'll create an OAuth 2 client ID.
This section, this is your branding information. So this is exactly what is going to come up when a user is asked for access to grant access to your application. So definitely, add your logo, make the product name what you want it to be, but this is the best chance for you to brand yourself. Yep.
And so now, I'll have to set my site or hosting on this because it's a client-side flow. The authentication is actually performed by restricting specific sites to being able to access the resources that are granted. And so because I'm using the +1 button, I'm going to have to add the +1 origin, so that because that's going to be rendered from within an iframe.
And you definitely need to make sure every origin is accounted for, otherwise the authentication won't propagate through.
Yep. And so now that I have added all these pieces, and I have my client ID, I can put my client ID back into the code here for the client ID on the button. So now let's upload this. This is just, like, you may not be able to see this, but I'm just going to use I'm just going to be using SFTP to put my script onto my web server.
The other thing is, as we do each stage, we're going to show you what it looks like using the developer tools. So if you are a Chrome user, you can right-click and inspect element to get to any of these consoles that we're using.
Yep. So it worked. So okay, so now we can see the sign in button rendering.
Woo! Let's sign in.
Let's sign in. Okay, so this is kind of what the user is presented with after they click sign in. Now let's look at that callback from the sign in function. So the first thing that happens when this callback is called is yes.
Because I laugh, and
yes.
then
yes. So the callback is called after access, and then an access token is passed inside of the event.
You don't have to store this access token yourself. Only store it if you think you're going to use it for something else like we're going to do. But the magic of Google OAuth is that once a user grants you access, as long as that access is granted until they revoke it, your application will never ask them a second time. So only store it if you think you really want to use it like we're going to do.
Yep. And so, yeah, I'll also log it to the console so you guys can kind of see what's going on here.
What it looks like.
Yep. And so now I've stored my access token. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the user's profile by using that access token. So I'm going to use an XML HTTP request, which I'll just abbreviate to XHR, and then this will have to be set up.
So first we're going to actually create the XHR object, but then what we're going to do is add in a header that includes the access token so that it'll automatically authenticate or authorize or whatever you want to call it.
Yep. And so yeah, so this just like visiting a website. XHR pretty much is going to it's going to pretty much simulate downloading the content from a URL, and then this is the resource that I'm going to be getting is going to be the Google APIs. The Google APIs resource for the plus.me scope.
Yeah, so we're grabbing everything that is publicly available on the user's profile. And the reason that is because even when a user grants you access, as an application, you can still only get publicly available data because we fight for the user
exactly.
and protect their privacy.
Yep. So so after we open the URL, sorry, my spacing is a little funky, but let's see. XHR dot set. Yeah, we need to set that
the request
header. And this is going to be the authorization header.
And the bearer.
Yes. So because we're going to be sending a token, there's going to be a bearer for the token.
Bearer.
Yep.
One token to rule them all.
Yes, one token to rule them all. So here we set the access token, and so this will enable the client to actually get access to those resources that were granted access to by the user. And
the final step is to actually send this request, and then that'll actually populate the profile data into the request itself.
Yep. And so after it's sent, the XHR object will have an event that gets called, and it's on
ready state change.
On ready state change. And this is going to be set as a function, and the function will test that ready state. So the ready state, this is actually camel cased. If it's set to 4, that means that the request is done. So if it's set to one of these other values, like 1, 2, or 3, then it could still be in process, and the actual data is not necessarily written to that XHR object. And so now that it's actually set correctly, and that the state is done, the request is done, the user's profile data should be in the response.
And now we can parse it.
Yep. So now I'm going to take the profile, and I'm going to generate it from the response. And it looks like I put this in. Yeah, it looks like I put this in quotes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's write this to log. And let's see what the profile looks like. Just copy it over to my server.
And
takes a second.
the page.
Refresh the page. And this is where the magic happens. So now I'm going to allow access, and if everything went right,
we'll be able to see what's actually been stored.
Yep. So it looks like I put in plus v1
So here's a
profile.
free lesson on debugging.
Yes. So what I've done is I've actually I said profile me, and it's actually people.me.
Oh.
So hopefully this scope is correct. And
Is it? No. Oh, somebody commented to let you know. Gerwin wants you to know it was people/me.
it is people/me. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Gerwin.
Gerwin. You're the man.
So ideally what we would be able to see is we're logging the callback, and then now we're logging the profile data. And so in a perfect and ideal world, you'd be able to see all the different fields that we were pulling from Gus's profile.
Mm-hmm.
But right now we're seeing Gus in his coding zone, which is
In
awesome.
my coding zone, yes.
I get to see a lot more of this than you guys do, so
So,
you should see what he did to my coupon robot.
oh, I'm sorry about the coupon. We're going to keep working on that, though.
Once we
let's check.
revive it, we'll make a demo out of it.
Yep. So maybe I'm actually requesting, it looks like I'm requesting the correct scope. Looks like I've got the right client ID, and I've got a valid callback. And this looks good. Let's see. Also of note, you can see that I'm logging the access token here. So I'm actually generating a valid access token.
Are you including the correct access token when you create your HTTP request?
Or maybe I've got a typo that appeared in my access token right here.
That is entirely
There it is.
possible.
Found it.
All right. So syntax matters.
Syntax matters. Not only does syntax matter, but actually when you fat finger all over your variables, it does affect stuff too. So now hopefully this will work. And if we inspect that element, yay! All right,
Okay,
so now
this is what we really wanted to show you guys.
yeah, this is what we really wanted to show you. This is kind of the exciting stuff. I don't know if I can make this bigger, but if you look in here, you can see an object, and this is just the object that was JSON. It was JSON response that came back from the Google endpoint, and here you can see the various elements. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to render these elements to the area where I'm currently displaying
The button.
the sign-in button.
So you can preserve your sign-in real estate.
I'll just call this function update display area.
Okay.
And what this function is going to do is it's going to take the object members, and it's going to write those various members into that div.
So first step, let's grab a photo.
Yeah. So so inside of this object is the image URL piece,
We're going
and
to show you Gus's face even bigger than it already is on
Oh.
your screen.
I didn't even know we were going to do that.
Yeah, change the size.
All right, I'll change the size. So yeah, actually, if you look into the image object here, there's a URL, and at the end of this is this SZ parameter, which after playing with, I determined you can actually make bigger or smaller.
Gus means size.
And yes, in size. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable that will contain the HTML that I'm going to be writing back. I'm going to be writing back to that div. And so first, I set the source parameter to the image URL. And then I'm actually going to, as Joanna suggested, I'll add another 0 to make it really big.
Yeah.
And
So
I
you
need
can all
to
see
label my...
what's going on here.
Yep. And so I'll label this content, and then...
Then maybe we should grab things like the tagline in your name.
Yep. And it looks like I forgot a closing quote. So the index actually contains those. If you look on the left side here, these are the indexes, and then I'm just actually and then I'm actually looking at the index to determine if it's the
One that we want, because we don't really want to look at all of his public information. We only want to grab the essence that is Gus, so his tagline, because he's your friend.
Yep.
And we're going to store it with the index first, and then the value of that index second, so that everything prints out nice and clean.
Yeah, we're going to kind of search, we're going to kind of search by incrementing through the various members of this data structure.
And just grab the ones we care about.
And we'll just do a couple. This will be the last one.
Okay.
Tagline. And content. I'm going to append to content the actual
the values,
the
themselves.
member and the
We're
value.
gonna concatenate onto a single string and maybe even add a new line, so it's a clean concatenation.
Yep. And if I haven't introduced any wonderful bugs here, we can just...
The big if. Let's cross our fingers.
Yeah. It's hard on camera, I swear.
I know, and I'm mean to Gust, so don't think that this is just on camera. It's my whole personality.
This goes on all day. So I'll just set the inner HTML
Okay.
to this content. And it looks like I put it one brace into fire. There we go. Copy it back over. Reload. And do this. And yay, I actually have an error again. This will be easy though. The hard part's done. Value is not defined. So if I go to line 31 here, index.
There we go.
I wanted the value, but I put in the index. Okay, so now I sign in. And there it is.
There's his face.
Voila!
So this is what we wanted to show you, how you can grab this information and use it within your own website or application or whatever you're trying to do.
Yep. So that's pretty much all I had to show. Feel free to ask questions that you may have had about the demo or comments.
And we're going to hang around for just a few more minutes to see if any questions show up. If you're watching this after and not live, go ahead and feel free to stop watching. But for those of you with us live, we're going to maybe concatenate some cats now as a small entertainment while I look for comments.
All right, sounds good.
I'm going to say hi back to whoever is saying hi to me on this comment.
He's left at 50. I wonder how many cats I should put in here.
50? 50 cats?
Okay, 50 cats.
Okay, 50 cats.
Joanna, did you have any questions that kind of came up? Anything that looked a little questionable?
Questionable
questions.
I guess, no, I didn't. I didn't have any questions right now. If I think of any, I'll let you know.
Okay. So we'll just do some place kitten work.
Maybe you could name a few of the other things that you can do once you have the OAuth token, other things that we can access.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Gerwin's asking, would it be possible to use the access token in combination with the JavaScript client library?
Yes. Yes, the JavaScript client library should allow you to use that access token just as you would. So you can actually set within the client object. I don't have the specifics for it, but
is there a sample on our website?
But there should be samples that use this, and really kind of, and I will temper what I've demonstrated here as kind of this is really as much a demo of what's possible. More so than necessarily a best practice, because one thing that will happen is after you've done this client-side authentication, that access token will expire. It expires within about 60 minutes, and just something to be aware of if you're going to try to replicate what I've done here.
But if it expires in 60 minutes, then how do we also keep users from having to log in again?
Users will have to log in again, but up until that point, when they're no longer authenticated, they will not need to. Just because by the actual nature of how I coded this website.
Oh, for this website.
There's the best practice would actually, in this case, would be to take a cookie and then put the access token into that cookie, and then after that user comes back in, you could check that cookie to see if an access token exists, and then you could actually use that instead of actually requesting it and then regenerating it. You'll also notice that when I was going through and trying again after I introduced some bugs, the authentication dialog wasn't popping itself up again, and that was because I'd already granted this website access to my content.
Okay.
So, all right, so we'll play some kittens.
For those of you wondering about how to gain Google swag, you can always buy it from the Google store online, or you can try attending any of our developer events that we hold around the world, and we'll be more than happy to pass things out to you, since you are quite persistent in your questioning. Let's see.
Anything else?
I don't think so. Are the cats ready?
I'm never sure if the cats are ready. I guess it's time to let the cat out of the bag.
Oh,
I know, yeah.
That
this is
was
really
bad.
That was really
that
bad.
was worse than my one token to rule them all.
Yes. Oh, okay, that looks really bad. All right, well,
normally there could be cats there.
there could be cats.
We've all
I know what I'm missing. There we go. Good times. So yeah, I mean, feel free to ask any questions. We're monitoring both the YouTube channel as well as the
Google Plus event. Yeah, I'm trying to anyway.
I wish there was a place dog, so you could get dogs as well.
We were looking for one earlier so that we could be equal opportunity pet lovers, but kittens are just much more popular on the internet these days.
Yeah, kittens are really kind of more available if you really want to.
I think more people just
generate
take
some
pictures
content.
of their cats, but they go outside and play with their dogs.
Yeah, if we were to draw a graph between camera-owning folks and cat-owning folks, there'd be a tight correlation, probably. Probably.
All right. Well, unless Gerwin has any more questions, I think that seems to be everything.
And Gerwin, I'll remember that question you asked for the client library, and I'll see if we have any sample code that we can actually demonstrate with it. And I'll definitely eat my foot too if I'm actually wrong here. But
we're more than happy to do that.
Yep.
All right, so I think that's everything for today, and we hope to see you guys again in 2 weeks. But definitely check out the Google Developers Live for Google Plus, brought to you next week by EMEA from London. So have fun, guys.